Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1632B, and today's date is August 7th, 2018, and the title of the episode is, It's All About to Intensify, Brace Yourself, Divided No More. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded a new interview with Gregory Mannarino. It is on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So all you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. You'll see the interview there. You can play it right on there. Or you can come over to the X22Report.com or NewsSentinel.com site. And all you need to do is scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side. You can play the interview right on the site. Or you can go to Steemit, that is steemit.com/@X22Report, and you can play the interview on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, we've been talking about the IG report, the Pfizer memo, and how things are going to be pushed out into the open in the month of August. Well, we're in the month of August, and we're starting to get information from all different areas, not just from Q. We see from the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, he said that Bruce Orr, a former top official in the Justice Department, will become more and more important as the GOP lawmakers look for evidence of power abuse and corruption at the highest level of the Obama administration. He said, I think people should pay close attention to it. Congressional investigators have found that Orr, who was the fourth highest ranking official in the Justice Department, acted as an intermediary between Steele after he was terminated as a source and the FBI's investigation into ties between Russians and President Trump's 2016 campaign. When Orr gave the Bureau information from Steele, agents made a record of it, and those records are in the form of so-called 302 reports, in which the FBI agents write up notes of interviews during investigation. And basically saying that they want all this information. And look at this because we see something coming down the line here. We see that Judicial Watch and the Daily Caller in a joint motion, they're saying they want Comey's emails to be preserved. And they're compelling the courts to preserve these emails. So both Judicial Watch and the Daily Caller both put a motion forward. And they went on to say, there is a reason to be concerned that the responsive records could be lost or destroyed. Judicial Watch pointed out that in June 2018, the Department of Justice Inspector General stated, we identified numerous instances in which Comey used a personal email account, Gmail account, to conduct FBI business. The Justice Department, in response to Judicial Watch's concerns, sent Mr. Comey a letter asking him to preserve records, but refused to make the letter available and opposed a preservation order. The court will allow the Department of Justice until September 28, 2018, to complete its review and release any of its responsive, non-exempt records to plaintiffs. That being said, the Department of Justice is also ordered to make rolling productions between today and September 28, 2018, at a reasonable intervals of any records that are reviewed and found to be responsive and non-exempt. The court will grant Judicial Watch motion. The Department of Justice is ordered to take all necessary and reasonable steps to ensure that any records that are potentially responsive to either the plaintiff's Freedom of Information request located on former Director Comey's personal email account, and that they are preserved. So right now they're trying to make sure that these emails are not removed, deleted, whatnot. We see Dianne Feinstein. She had a Chinese driver, turned out to be a spy, and she was head of the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee and had no idea that there was a spy who was driving her car until she was notified. Well, the Chinese spy who worked for Senator Feinstein was identified. The spy's name is Russell Lowe. Russell Lowe was a Senator Feinstein's office manager. Some say it was a driver, maybe both. Lowe is a Chinese American who spent 20 years as the aide to Dianne Feinstein. Lowe worked for Feinstein while she was chair of the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee. Russell Lowe is now the Secretary General of the Education for Social Justice Foundation. And again, here we have a spy right under Feinstein's nose, and really nothing was said about it. Corporate media didn't report on this like crazy. There was really nothing. I mean, should we say Feinstein was colluding with the Chinese? I mean, that's what it sounds like. It looks like there's some blowback with Facebook. They've lost a major advertiser, UniCredit, and they said, listen, we're going to be severing all ties from the social media giant because they have acted in an unethical way. And we don't want to be a part of this. And it looks like there might be other companies that do the same exact thing. We see Soros is out there, and he is ordering Facebook to ban all global warming deniers. And what we're seeing right now is people getting banned for many different reasons, from Twitter, from Facebook, from YouTube. And it seems like they're trying to shut down anyone that will speak out against anything that doesn't jive with the mainstream media, with their narrative. And I think the reason why they're doing this, one, the elections are coming up. Two, I believe the release of the unredacted, declassified information, they don't want these people speaking about it. And if you notice, they're taking down those Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts, YouTube channels from those individuals or groups or organizations that have a huge following. And we see that their agenda, they are pushing it forward. We see the UK, they are restricting the OPCW access to Salisbury. They're not allowing the OPCW to go in and do their job because they're saying, listen, it's already been done. We already have the evidence, and we don't need the OPCW specialist to perform extra tasks that might taint the information that we already have. And once again, what I think is happening here is they're trying to protect their narrative, their false flag story. And if the OPCW goes in and really gathers the evidence and looks into what's going on here, they might come up with a different story. Because wouldn't you want another organization in there to say, hey, yes, we confirm this was a poisoning from Russia. It was Novichok. This is how it was done. But they don't want this to happen. We see Russia is sending additional military equipment to the Syrian army ahead of its expected advance in northern Latakia. And remember, up in the north, this is the last area where the Islamic State, al-Nusra, and the rest are hiding out. They're going to go in there and push them out. And once this happens, it is completely game over. And Russia and Syria, they will have complete and utter total control of the country once again. And we're getting to that point in time where the coalition forces, there is no reason for them to even be in there. We see Israel and Russia, they reached an agreement on the Golan Heights border where they agreed that, yes, the Syrian army is going to come down. They're going to abide by the 1974 agreement. It's all happening right in front of our faces. Yes, it'd be nice if it happened by snapping your finger, but things don't work that way. Everything has to be undone from the deep state. And it takes time because the deep state is still fighting against everything that's trying to be done. I mean, think about it. When North Korea, when peace talks were happening behind the scene, I mean, no one really believed this was really happening. When this was happening, the corporate media, even the alternative media channels were saying that, no, North Korea, they might fire a missile, we might go to war, this is not going to happen. Listen to the way that Trump's speaking. He's going to be pushing the nuclear button. We're going to be attacking. We have troops ready to go in. This is what McMaster's were continually saying. And it turned out, all of a sudden, there was a summit. Out of nowhere. Now, to those people that weren't paying attention, it seemed like it was completely out of nowhere. But for those who were paying attention, listening to Q, listening to what we were doing, researching this, you could see that this was all playing up to that point. Yes, it's easy to look back now and say, oh, I see how that happened. But we were reporting on this as it was happening, and people sometimes cannot see it. Just like right now. What's happening right now? The same thing's going to happen in Iran. The IG and the FISA member, they're going to be declassified. The deep state is preparing for all of this. The economy is being pushed to the edge for the central bank to bring it down. And a lot of it, it's very difficult to see because we have many mainstream media outlets and others out there saying, look how great the economy is. It's fantastic. Look what's going on here. And you need those people to keep the illusion up while work goes on in the background. But we're not here to look at the illusion. We're here to look beyond the illusion, behind the illusion, and to figure out what's really going on here. And we can see that the deep state, they're becoming very, very nervous because, as we can see, there's also a report about Islamic State where they might use a chemical attack in the U.S. This is the deep state trying to push fear into the people. But as we know, they control the Islamic State. And will they do this? I don't think they'll get a chance to do this. We see the mainstream media is out there and they're saying, if Trump keeps this up about the press, someone might get killed. Now, this might be another staged event where we see a reporter maybe get killed, where they can turn around and say, see, we told you about this, and they blame it on Trump. Remember, they're getting very nervous and afraid. Channels, Twitter, Facebook, many individuals, they're being taken down. And we can see that the deep state, they're continually pushing their agenda and trying to control the situation, and it's becoming very, very difficult. Now, Q came out with additional posts. 1822, August 6. Psychological projection. Define conspiracy. 1. A secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. A conspiracy to destroy the government. 2. The action of plotting or conspiring. They were cleared of conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. Brackets, all bold, fake news. Fake news collaborating and pushing knowingly false information. Fake news, knowingly, this is all caps, knowingly false narrative pushes. 1. POTUS colluded with Russia to win the 2016 presidential election. Fake. 2. POTUS is a puppet to Putin. Fake. 3. POTUS to harm relations with our allies. Fake. 4. POTUS will collapse the U.S. economy. No, POTUS is not going to collapse the economy. The central bank will. 5. POTUS will cause war with North Korea. False. POTUS will cause war with Iran. False. Fake news. 8. POTUS will destroy the world. Fake news. 9. On and on. Knowingly false. Fear and scare push. They would rather see North Korea peace negotiations fail. They want war. Then see POTUS resolve. Scandalous media bias. Conspiracy. Collaboration. What are they hiding? Fake news media is not free and independent. Fake news media, propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. Think WikiLeaks. List of journalists who colluded with Hillary Rodham Clinton. DNC, 26 presidential election. They want you divided. Divided by race, divided by religion, divided by culture, divided by class, divided by political affiliation. Divided, you are weak. Together, you are strong. You, the people, have the power. This movement challenges their forced narrative. This movement challenges people to not simply trust what is being reported. Research for yourself. Think for yourself. Trust yourself. This movement is not about one person or a group of people. It's we, the people. You are witnessing a full panic attack by the fake news, media and covert alt media affiliates, foreign governments. They cannot contain or defeat what they do not understand. Is any of this normal? Think sealed indictment counts. Think resignations of CEOs. Think resignations of senators. Think resignations of Congress. Think termination of senior FBI. Think termination of senior Department of Justice. Watergate times 1,000. Attacks will intensify. Intensify. Logical thinking. Ask yourself a simple question. Why? All caps, 4 question marks. Q. And the question is, why are they so scared? Remember, going back, we said, and Q said, that the intelligence agencies, the mainstream media, they already know what's in the IG report. They already know what's in the FISA memo. They have the unredacted versions. They know what's coming out. They know the truth will be coming out, and this is what they're very afraid of. Post 1823, August 6th. The bill that opened the door for Twitter, Facebook, Google to censor and control. Gave a link. Congress.gov, Bill 114th Congress, House Bill 5181. Think Russian bots. Think foreign propaganda. The more you know. Q. So we take a look at this. H.R. 5181, 114th Congress, 2015 to 2016. Countering Foreign Propaganda and Disinformation Act of 2016. This was hidden in the National Defense Authorization Act passed December 8th before Trump took office. One last present from Obama. And what this defense bill did was create a Center for Information Analysis and Response that was ostensibly, therefore, counterattacking foreign propaganda and political messaging. So let me read a part of this bill here. Section A, Establishment. Not later than 180 days after the date of enactment of this act, the Secretary of State shall, in coordination with Secretary of Defense, the Director of National Intelligence, the Broadcasting Board of Governors, and other relevant departments and agencies, establish a Center for Information Analysis and Response, in this section referred to as the Center. Now, with this bill, it allowed the U.S. government to funnel taxpayer dollars to media companies, NGOs, and political and activist groups. Section 1, Authorization of Appropriations. There is authorized to be appropriated to the Secretary of State for fiscal year 2017 and 2018 $20 million to support the Center and provide grants or contracts of financial support to civil society groups, journalists, non-governmental organizations, federally funded research and development centers, private companies, or academic institutions for the following purposes. And it goes on, but the important parts are these. Hidden in this whole entire thing of the 1,576-page NDAA in Section 1259C, below Subtitle E, labeled Other Matters, below Title 13, is approval for the funding of new propaganda agency which will be managed by the Secretary of State. The text was pretty much lifted word for word from the Portman-Murphy Countering Disinformation and Propaganda Act, except that Congress changed the name from the slightly ominous-sounding Center for Information Analysis and Response to a happier Global Engagement Center. And among other things, the center's function is to develop, plan, and synchronize whole-of-government initiatives to expose and counter foreign propaganda and disinformation directed against United States national security interests and proactively advance fact-based narratives that support United States allies and interests. Or, to put it simply, they're going to help the U.S. government distribute information that will support their interests, especially those interests that face scrutiny in other countries. Or, in other words, they'll be planting their people in academic situations and working with pretty much any industry they think will enhance their propaganda's reach and effectiveness. The section even approves funding to spy on journalists, social media groups, political parties, and NGOs. All of this to proactively advance fact-based narratives. Of course, see for yourself. The NDA lists one of the center's functions as identifying current and emerging trends, information obtained from print, broadcast, online social media, support for third-party outlets such as think tanks, political parties, and non-governmental organizations, and the use of covert or clandestine special operators and agents to influence targeted populations and governments. Lastly, this is, I think, one of the biggest parts and most worrying. Authority for grants. The center is authorized to provide grants or contracts of financial support to civil society groups, journalists, non-governmental organizations, federally funded research and development centers, private companies, or academic institutions for the following purpose: to counter efforts by foreign governments to use disinformation, misinformation, and propaganda to influence the policies and social and political stability of the United States. So basically, they're taking this and they've created a propaganda arm in the news organizations, and they're funding them with grants. Let's move on to post 1824, August 6. There's a graphic here. GDP estimates in trillions of US dollars. Canada, 1.8 trillion. France, 2.9. Germany, 4.2. Italy, 2.2. United Kingdom, 2.9. Japan, 5.2. Total, 19.2 trillion. GDP of the United States, 20.4 trillion. Ask yourself, and this is Q saying this, if the U.S. GDP is greater than the total of all other combined G7, which allowed us to negotiate from a position of strength, why would previous presidents knowingly unequally distribute America's wealth away by making unbalanced trade deals? Why was America's wealth being distributed worldwide? Why was the American taxpayer essentially subsidizing the rest of the world? The American taxpayer has no equal anywhere in the world. Access to the American consumer is essential for every major country in the world. America was systematically being weakened. Our military was systematically being weakened. America is back to leading. America first. This is what happens when POTUS has no strings attached. So the question is, why would they do all this? Well, think back. What were they trying to do here? They were trying to create a one-world government. They were using the NAFTA negotiation of trade. Then they were using the TPP, which would allow courts to go above each and every government. So if you have a court system which is above governments, they're calling the shots, they can control each and every one of the countries. The central bank, putting all the countries into debt, they can control them in that way. You can have a world government. Then you can set it up where the UN controls pretty much everything. Why would you have to remove the wealth from America? Because you would need to bring America down to the level of every other country. You'd have to even out the playing field. Why would you weaken the military? You don't want the U.S. people fighting back. Weaken the military, it makes it very difficult to fight back. You then have to fall in line. What's happening right now? The military budget is being boosted, not for war in other countries. So these individuals can't make this move. The wars in other countries, they're coming to an end. Listen to what Q just said. War is not going to be happening in Iran, in North Korea, in Venezuela, in many of the other areas. This is what the deep state wanted, but it's not happening. What's happening is the reverse. Peace is going to be happening all around in these countries. The reason why the military budget is being boosted is to protect us from the deep state, from trying to control us. They're not doing it to build up the forces to go to war. That'd be ridiculous at this point, because we see everything is winding down. I mean, if you listen to the corporate media and listen to other people, you think that war is going to move forward, just like in North Korea. No, the opposite is happening. A lot of this is fake news. I mean, no one even reported on the peace deal that was going on behind the scenes. But we had a peace deal, and people were scratching their head. How did this happen in North Korea? It makes no sense. We were just talking about war a second ago. The same thing in Syria. No one believes that the troops are going to be coming home, that the war is going to end, that we're not supporting the deep state army anymore, the paid mercenary Islamic State al-Nusra. This was the deep state. We're actually fighting against them. Special forces have been sent into Afghanistan to go after the remaining few. Secret peace talks behind the scenes are happening in Afghanistan. Actually, they're going very well. And soon we're going to hear an announcement. We're going to hear an announcement in Syria. All of this is happening at the same time. So why is the corporate media out there confusing the situation? Why are they making it seem like we're going to war? That everything is falling apart? That everything doesn't seem right? Because they don't know what else to do. They're in panic mode. And they're bringing out anything. No matter what they talk about, Look at the little headlines at the bottom of each and every one of the screen. It has nothing to do with the topic they're talking about. Trump, he's a racist or whatever they put up there, or Trump Jr. They keep those in front of you to try to brainwash you. This is their whole purpose. What's happening here is that the truth is going to be coming out, and it's going to be coming out very, very soon. They're very nervous about this. And a country that they're trying to divide, they've been trying to divide us with race, with religion, and everything else. We're going to be divided no more. The country's going to come together. This is their worst nightmare. Because once you have a country that is on the same page and a country that sees everything the same way, I'm not talking about everything, but sees what they have been doing, this is scary. Yes, there are going to be some people that still won't believe it, that will say, no way, this is impossible. But if you can get the majority on the same page and put the truth out there with documentation, propaganda can't strike it down. It's impossible. There's nothing they'll be able to do. Yes, they can use racist slurs, they can say hate, they can use propaganda, but all you have to do is show the truth. Now, is this going to be easy? No. Things are going to intensify to the X factor. It's going to look like it's the worst thing that we've ever seen. Think about a drug addict, for instance. Individual that is high on drugs, messed up his or her entire life, can't get off them, and then people, their friends, family, decide, something, no more. We're going to help our brother, sister, cousin, whoever it is, get off these drugs. So what happens? They take the individual and they take them off the drugs. The first couple of days or week is the worst. Going through withdrawal, pain, screaming and yelling. And eventually what happens is the person comes out of it. The same thing's going to happen here, where it's going to look like it's the worst thing that we've ever seen before, that things are not going the way we thought it was going to go. But what's really happening, this is the withdrawal process. This is the process where it's going to intensify to such a degree that people, the mainstream media, it's going to be all over the place. It's going to be the land of confusion. And once we get out of the land of confusion, all of a sudden we're going to see the light. And people are going to start to realize what's going on. Because once more and more information comes out, and you get a small percentage looking at this, researching, and then you get more, guess what is going to happen? They're going to let more of this information come out. And once it starts, it's like an avalanche. It starts small, it builds up steam, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you cannot stop it. At that point, the deep state, the mainstream media, everything else, they're doomed. They know this. This is why they're in panic mode. This is why they're pushing every possible angle story they can possibly think of to try to stop this. I mean, the only thing that they can do right now is maybe have an event of all events. But in the end, the whole purpose of this is to get everyone to come as one. Because once you have everyone as one, the power of the people is completely unstoppable. And this is what the deep state, the establishment, the central bankers have always worried about. They do not want a people together in a fight because they know they will lose. Actually, if you ever watched this Disney movie called The Bug's Life, and I watched this when my kids were very young, you saw thousands of ants, and you had like 12 grasshoppers. And the 1,000 of ants, they always took their orders from the 12 grasshoppers because they were always afraid. And then one day, they figured out if we band together, there's a lot more of us than there are of them. And we don't have to listen to them anymore. The same thing is happening right now. And here we are. And we're going to see things change quite a bit in the next couple of weeks. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.